The Archives. The Galactic Defense Academy floated like a jeweled artifact against the backdrop of the Vega Nebula, its crystalline spires refracting starlight in 1,000 directions. For 12,000 cycles, it had trained the finest military minds in the known universe, representatives from over 200 species, united under the banner of the Galactic Federation. The Academy's motto, "Excellence through Unity," was etched in 27 languages across its central dome. Commander Trillick stood at the viewing port of Lecture Hall Alpha, his 4 arms clasped behind his back in the formal military stance of his species. The deep blue scales covering his face reflected the ambient light as he gazed out at the passing asteroids. His 7th cycle cadets would arrive soon for their most controversial lecture yet. "Commander, the archives have been prepared as requested," announced his assistant, a hovering orb of luminescent gas contained within a transparent shell, a Melbournian, one of the gaseous species from the outer rim. "Thank you, Vox," Trillick replied, turning away from the view. "And the security clearances?" "Granted by the High Council, though not without objection." Several counselors felt the material was too disturbing. Trillick flicked his tail in amusement. "Disturbing is precisely why we need to study it. The cadets need to understand what we've invited into our midst." The doors to the lecture hall slid open, and cadets began filing in, a kaleidoscope of galactic biodiversity. Chitinous Arvarians with their complex exoskeletons took seats near the front, their mandibles clicking in conversation. Gelatinous Blorbians flowed into specialized containment chairs. Tall, willowy Quinidarians with their translucent skin took positions at the back, their internal organs visible as colorful shadows beneath their epidermis. Silicon-based Petrovanians, quadrupedal Lenturus, and dozens of other species arranged themselves according to their physiological needs. Trillick touched a control panel, dimming the lights. 7th cycle cadets, welcome to Special Topics in Comparative Military Doctrine. Today marks a significant departure from our standard curriculum. The room quieted as he continued. 3 orbital cycles ago, a new species was granted provisional membership in the Galactic Federation. Many of you have heard rumors. Some of you have expressed concerns. Today, we examine the military history of Earth. A ripple of conversation swept through the room. A Petrovanian cadet raised a crystalline appendage. "Commander, is it true they were admitted despite being pre-FTL? Technically, they achieved rudimentary FTL 2 of their years ago," Trillick corrected. "But yes, they were contacted before achieving widespread interstellar travel capabilities, a rare exception to our protocols." "Why the exception?" asked a Lentari cadet, their 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Trillick's outer membrane tightened, the equivalent of a grim smile. "That's what we're here to understand." "Computer, begin archive presentation. Earth military history, chronological sequence." The holographic projector in the center of the room hummed to life, displaying a small blue-green planet. "Earth," Trillick stated, "3rd planet in their system. Carbon-based life forms. Approximately 11,000 years of recorded history, with evidence suggesting at least 8,000 years of organized warfare." Several cadets exchanged glances. 8,000 years was not particularly impressive. Many species in the room came from civilizations with tens of thousands of years of recorded history. Their early warfare was primitive. Trillick continued as images of ancient battles appeared, humans with bronze weapons and wooden shields. But note the progression. The hologram shifted rapidly through images, swords becoming guns, cavalry becoming tanks, primitive aircraft evolving into supersonic jets. The timeline at the bottom of the display compressed drastically. "Observe the rate of military technological development," Trillick said. "Most species in this room took between 15 to 20,000 years to progress from bronze weapons to nuclear capabilities. Humanity did it in less than 5,000, with the most dramatic advances occurring in just the last 3 centuries. A Blorbian cadet rippled with skepticism. Impressive adaptation rate, but surely their warfare remained limited by their primitive understanding of physics and biology. An excellent question. Trillick replied. Computer, display World War I data. The hologram changed to show trenches carved into muddy landscapes, barbed wire stretching across desolate terrain. Men in primitive uniforms charged across open ground, falling by the thousands to automated weapons fire. This was their first global conflict. Trillick explained. Approximately 9 million combat deaths, with twice that many wounded. They deployed chemical weapons against their own species, causing mass casualties and lifelong suffering. The images shifted to show soldiers choking on gas, their faces contorted in agony. A Quinadian cadet in the back began to tremble, their translucent skin taking on a sickly hue as they absorbed the emotional content of the images. This can't be accurate. A Petrovanian objected, their crystalline structure vibrating with distress. No species would do this to itself. The archives are verified. Trillick said quietly. Computer, continue to World War I. The images grew more horrific. Cities reduced to rubble by aerial bombardment, mass starvation, civilians executed en masse, concentration camps filled with emaciated prisoners. The final images showed 2 mushroom clouds rising over cities. They deployed atomic weapons against civilian population centers. Trillick stated, his voice deliberately neutral. Their own species, their own planet. Silence filled the lecture hall. 3 Quinadians had already left, unable to process the emotional content. Several Blorbians had contracted to half their normal size. Computer, pause presentation. Trillick ordered. Questions. A Linteri cadet raised an appendage, voice trembling slightly. Commander, was this their worst conflict? By raw casualty count, yes. By percentage of population affected, no. They've had proportionally more devastating regional conflicts throughout their history. But why? Asked an Arvarian, mandibles clicking rapidly in distress. What resources could possibly justify such losses? Trillick's outer membrane tightened again. Resources were rarely the sole motivation. Ideology, religion, ethnic differences, political systems. Humans have fought catastrophic wars over differences in governance philosophies. They're insane, concluded a Petrovanian cadet, crystal facets flashing with alarm patterns. How could the Council admit them to the Federation? That, said Trillick, is the question we're exploring. Computer, continue presentation. Cold War period. The hologram shifted to show nuclear arsenals, intelligence operations, proxy wars. The timeline indicated a nearly 50-year standoff between major powers, each capable of destroying their planet several times over. During this period, they developed the capacity for global extinction, maintained that capacity for decades, and came within minutes of deployment on multiple occasions. Trillick explained. Computer, show the Cuban Missile Crisis data. The presentation displayed a 13-day period where global thermonuclear war was averted by margins measured in minutes and individual decisions. By now, nearly a quarter of the cadets had left the lecture hall. Those remaining sat in stunned silence. Computer, continue to psychological warfare techniques. The presentation shifted to show interrogation methods, propaganda campaigns, and various forms of torture. Mind control experiments. Drugs designed to extract information or break resistance. Several more cadets left. This is their history, asked a remaining Blorbian, their gelatinous form now pale and contracted. How do they still exist? That is perhaps the most relevant question, Trillick replied. Computer, pause presentation. Despite everything you've seen, or perhaps because of it, humans have developed remarkable resilience, adaptability, and survival instincts. Their psychological capacity to endure suffering exceeds that of most known species. He moved to the center of the room, all 4 arms gesturing to encompass the holographic display. They've fought themselves to the brink of extinction multiple times and always pulled back. They've weaponized every scientific advancement they've made. They've studied the art of killing their own kind with a dedication that borders on religious fervor. And we invited them into the Federation. A Petrovanian asked, crystal structure vibrating with alarm. Yes. Shrilic confirmed. The council vote was not unanimous. Were there dissenters? Asked an Arvarian. Computer, display council vote. Earth admission. Shrilic commanded. The hologram shifted to show the voting record. To the cadets' surprise, the military representatives had voted unanimously in favor of Earth's admission, while civilian representatives had been divided. I don't understand, said a Lintari cadet. The military branches wanted them admitted. Shrilic deactivated the hologram. Class dismissed for today. Tomorrow we'll continue with modern human warfare techniques. I suggest you all engage your species' preferred relaxation methods before our next session. The material becomes more difficult. As the cadets filed out, many already submitting formal withdrawal requests from the program, Shrilic returned to the viewing port. The Melburnian assistant hovered nearby. 43% withdrawal rate, Vox reported. Higher than projected. It will increase tomorrow. Shrilic replied, gazing out at the stars. The psychological warfare segment always does. May I ask a personal question, Commander? Proceed. You voted in favor of Earth's admission to the Federation. After studying their history, do you regret that vote? Shrilic was silent for a long moment, his scales shifting color slightly as he considered. No, Vox, I do not. Despite everything we've seen. Because of everything we've seen, Shrilic corrected. Precisely because of it. In the darkened lecture hall, the paused hologram still displayed the mushroom cloud rising over Nagasaki, a monument to humanity's capacity for self-destruction. Yet beneath that image, almost too small to notice, was a data point that few had remarked upon. Within 10 years of this devastation, the same city had been rebuilt, its population restored, its economy flourishing. Destruction and renewal. War and peace. Humanity contained multitudes, and the Federation had recognized something essential about them. Something the cadets would learn in tomorrow's session, if they had the courage to return. Outside the academy, 3 unmarked ships maintained position at the edge of sensor range. Human vessels, observing the proceedings with interest. Inside one of them, a commander received the daily report from their contact at the academy. Withdrawal rate, she asked. 43% on day 1, came the reply. Expected to increase. She nodded. Exactly as anticipated. Inform the ambassador we're proceeding to phase 2. Beyond the known territories of the Federation, something was stirring in the darkness between stars. Something that had been watching for a very long time. Something that feared what humanity represented. And the Federation, in its ancient wisdom, had recognized the value of fear. The instructors, the second day of Commander Shrilich's special lecture, saw the attendance reduced by half. The remaining cadets sat in tense silence, their various physiologies displaying signs of stress. The Quenidarians who had returned wore emotional dampening fields. The Blorbians had preemptively contracted to their defensive postures. The Petrovanians had reinforced their crystalline structures with additional lattice matrices. Before we continue, Shrilic announced, I must inform you that today's session has been modified. We have visitors. The lecture hall doors slid open, and 3 figures entered. Bipedal, roughly symmetrical, with external coverings in muted colors. The cadets immediately recognized the morphology. Humans. May I present Ambassador Chen of Earth, General Okafor of the Terran Defense Force, and Dr. Ramirez, Earth's foremost xenobiologist. Shrilic said, extending all 4 arms in the ceremonial greeting posture. The 3 humans nodded in acknowledgement. The cadets remained silent, many shrinking back in their seats. Yesterday, Shrilic continued, we examined humanity's military history. Today, we will discuss why Earth was invited to join the Federation, and what role they will play. Ambassador Chen stepped forward. She was smaller than many had expected, hardly intimidating in physical form, yet the cadets noted how Commander Shrilic deferred to her presence. Thank you, Commander, she said, her voice translated through the room's systems. I understand yesterday's presentation was difficult to process. You showed them the wars. General Okafor asked, his dark eyes scanning the room, noting the reduced attendance. As instructed, Trillick confirmed. Good. The general nodded. Then they understand what they're dealing with. A Petrovanian cadet's crystalline structure vibrated with indignation. We understand that your species is dangerously violent and unstable. What we don't understand is why you're here. Ambassador Chen smiled, a gesture that several species in the room instinctively interpreted as threatening. The baring of teeth. An excellent question. Commander, perhaps it's time to show them the rest of the briefing. Computer, Trillick commanded. Display classified Federation security assessment. Outer rim threat analysis. The holographic projector flared to life, but instead of Earth's wars, it showed the darkness beyond the Federation's borders. Strange energy signatures, disrupted communication patterns, unexplained disappearances of outposts. For the past 50 cycles, Trillick explained, the Federation has been tracking an anomaly at the edges of known space. 3 years ago, we confirmed it's not a natural phenomenon, but an organized, intelligent force. A force that has systematically eliminated every probe and research vessel we sent. The cadets exchanged alarmed glances. The Federation has enjoyed 10,000 years of relative peace. General Okafor continued, stepping into the center of the holographic display. Your militaries have become ceremonial. Your weapons, decorative. Your tactics, theoretical. That's not true, objected an Arvarian cadet. The Academy trains us in advanced military doctrine. Yes, Dr. Ramirez spoke for the first time, her voice surprisingly gentle. Advanced doctrine for fighting conventional, rule-based wars against known opponents who share your fundamental values. But what's coming doesn't follow your rules. The hologram shifted to show destroyed outposts, recording fragments of attacks that made little strategic sense, seemingly random patterns of destruction, inefficient but thoroughly devastating. This enemy doesn't fight like you do, General Okafor stated flatly. It doesn't fight like we do, either. But we recognize something you've forgotten through millennia of peace. War isn't about rules. It's about survival. Ambassador Chen touched a control, and the hologram changed again. This time it showed human soldiers training alongside alien species, running combat drills, learning unconventional tactics, adapting to environments no human had ever encountered before. 6 of your cycles ago, she explained, a Federation scout ship encountered one of our military vessels near Alpha Centauri. Instead of following first contact protocols, the scout ship captain made a decision that changed the course of galactic history. She showed our captain this threat assessment. And you agreed to help. Asked a Blorbian, their form rippling with confusion. Despite not being Federation members. Despite having no stake in this conflict. General Okafor laughed, a sound that made several cadets flinch. No stake. An advanced alien force that destroys without negotiation. That's everyone's problem. More importantly, Dr. Ramirez added, we recognize something in this threat that resonated with our history. The randomness. The seeming irrationality. We fought enemies like this before, our own kind, in our darkest moments. Commander Trillick stepped forward again. The Federation Council debated for 3 cycles whether to contact Earth. The decision came down to a simple calculation. Does the threat of humanity outweigh the threat approaching from beyond? And we were deemed the lesser evil, Ambassador Chen said with another tooth-bearing smile. Not evil, Trillick corrected. A necessary adaptation. The hologram shifted again, showing Federation military academies across 20 systems. In each one, human instructors worked with alien cadets. The timestamp indicated these were live feeds. Currently, 2,000 human military advisors are embedded throughout Federation space, General Okafor explained. We're not here to join your military. We're here to rebuild it. A heavy silence fell over the lecture hall as the implications became clear. Yesterday's presentation wasn't just an academic exercise, Ambassador Chen said softly. It was a test. Those who left, who couldn't bear to witness the worst of what sentient beings can do to each other, they aren't suited for what's coming. But you, General Okafor addressed the remaining cadets. You stayed. Despite your horror, despite your fear, you returned. That's the first quality we need. The Federation didn't invite us to be students, Dr. Ramirez concluded. They invited us to be teachers. A Linteri cadet raised all 4 appendages in agitation. Teachers of what? How to exterminate your enemies. How to torture prisoners. How to commit genocide. No, Commander Trillick interrupted, his scales darkening with emotion. Teachers of survival. Teachers of adaptation. Teachers of facing the unthinkable and persevering. Computer, General Okafor commanded. Display incident report. Deep Space Research Station Zeta 9. The hologram changed to show the aftermath of an attack. A Federation research station torn apart, its crew subjected to experiments that defied comprehension. The cadets recoiled, many activating personal emotional shields. This happened 3 cycles ago, Trillick explained. A research team of 27, representing 11 Federation species. There were 2 human xenobiologists on that station, Ambassador Chen added quietly. The first humans to die in this coming conflict. They weren't military. They were scientists, botanists studying alien plant life. They died alongside your people. Computer, display survivor footage, General Okafor ordered. A grainy recording appeared, showing a severely injured Melburnian, similar to Trillick's assistant Vox, but with their containment shell cracked and their gaseous form leaking slowly into space. The Melburnian's voice was weak but determined. They were methodical, testing our limits. The humans realized first, organized resistance, bought time for escape pod. Captain Reynolds, she held the airlock, told us to tell her children she loved them. The recording ended. Another silence, heavier than before. This is not about glorifying war, Dr. Ramirez said gently. We've shown you our history not to boast of our capacity for violence, but to demonstrate our understanding of its cost. Humanity has walked to the edge of extinction by our own hand multiple times. We know what awaits down that path. And yet you still fight, observed an Arvarian cadet, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. We fight because we must, General Okafor replied. We fight because the alternative is unacceptable. Ambassador Chen stepped closer to the cadets. The Federation has maintained peace for 10 millennia, an achievement we deeply respect. But peace depends on shared values, on mutual recognition of rights and dignity. What's coming from beyond the rim shows no evidence of these qualities. So what happens now? Asked a Petrovanian, their crystalline structure reflecting the holographic light in complex patterns. Commander Trillick deactivated the hologram. Now, you make a choice. Those who wish to withdraw from the Academy may do so with honor and without prejudice. Your other talents will serve the Federation well in the difficult times ahead. And those who stay? A Blorbian cadet inquired, their form expanding slightly with renewed curiosity. Those who stay will begin a new curriculum tomorrow, General Okafor stated, jointly developed by your instructors and ours. It will be unlike anything the Academy has taught before. It will be difficult, Dr. Ramirez warned. It will challenge not just your physical capabilities but your ethical frameworks, your cultural assumptions, your deepest beliefs about what constitutes acceptable action. But if you succeed, Ambassador Chen concluded, you will become the first generation of a new kind of defender, combining the Federation's technology and wisdom with humanity's adaptability and determination. As the cadets filed out to consider their options, Commander Trillick remained with the human visitors. When the last cadet had left, his assistant Vox sealed the doors. Prediction, General Okafor asked. Another 30% will withdraw by morning, Trillick replied. The remainder will form the core of the new Joint Command structure. Will it be enough? Ambassador Chen wondered aloud, her diplomatic veneer slipping to reveal genuine concern. "It will have to be," Dr. Ramirez said, activating a personal hologram projector that showed the latest intelligence from the Outer Rim. The anomalous readings had intensified, coalescing into patterns that suggested organized movement, a vast armada gathering in the darkness. "How long do we have?" Shrillak asked. General Okafor studied the data, his expression grim. "Based on current trajectories, 8 Federation cycles, maybe less." "And your assessment of our chances?" Vox inquired, hovering anxiously. The general was silent for a long moment. "In conventional terms, minimal. Their technology appears more advanced, their numbers vastly superior." "But," Ambassador Chen prompted. A slow smile spread across General Okafor's face. "But conventional terms don't apply. We're humanity. We specialize in beating impossible odds." In the corridor outside, the remaining cadets gathered in small groups, discussing what they had learned. Many were still processing the shock of Earth's military history, now compounded by the revelation of the threat from beyond. Some would leave before morning. Others were already adapting, their diverse physiologies responding to stress in species-specific ways. But all were evolving toward a greater capacity for confronting the unthinkable. Far beyond the Academy, beyond the Federation's borders, in the cold void between galaxies, something vast and ancient stirred from its long observation. It had watched the species of the Federation grow comfortable in their peace, had calculated the precise moment to strike. But now a new variable had entered its equations, a young volatile species with a history written in fire and blood. A species that had nearly destroyed itself countless times, yet always emerged stronger. The vast intelligence recalculated, adjusting its models to account for this unexpected development. For the first time in millennia, it experienced an unfamiliar sensation: doubt. And somewhere in the darkness, watching the Watchers, humanity prepared for war.